Greed can sometimes wreck your portfolio. I'm going to show you how the hold forever mindset could be avoided by focusing on the technicals. We're going to have a look at the altcoins and the current dip we're going through at the moment. We're going to have a look at total 3, Bitcoin dominance, and a few other tools that I use to actually find breakout altcoins. So let's get into it. First thing I wanted to show you was total 3. This is the total market cap of all altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and ETH as cryptocurrencies. And this is a very, very useful metrics to see how we're doing in general when it comes to altcoins breaking out. And you can see here from 11th of November, we've just gone vertical, almost 2x. And we actually hit previous all-time highs, which we saw in November 2021. We just hit that, and we've had a big pullback, which is not surprising because we've literally gone up in a straight line over the last 3 weeks. Altcoin seasons don't last 3 weeks. That's the first thing to note because a lot of you are new to this cycle. I've been through a couple of previous cycles before, so I have a bit more experience, as some of you watching do as well. So you'll know that from here, last time, December 2020, we had a run to May 2021. So that was 3 or 4 months. And then we had another run, which was around July to about September, October time, another 3 months. And then we were done basically. Those were the big parabolic rallies. It looks like we're starting one now, but very likely we're going to go a lot higher after this pullback. But note that I gave you a time frame there. It was about 3 or 4 months. So keep that in your mind as we go through this video. We began roughly the second week of November, pretty much after Donald Trump was elected as president. So if this is true, then we're talking about maybe only February or March for the first massive potential local top. The other thing to look at is called Bitcoin dominance. So let me explain this to you. So we're going to zoom out to a daily chart. By the way, if you're new to charting as well, I'll link this down below. This is called TradingView. This is somewhere where you can find all of the different altcoins, Bitcoin, and all of these extra statistics as well. For example, in the top left search here, if you type in BTC, if you just start typing in BTC, you'll see an option for dominance. You can say BTC dominance like that, and you'll see BTC.D market cap dominance. This is how much of the total market cap is dominated by Bitcoin. Now, again, let's analyze from previous cycles. So we'll go back to a weekly and we'll see way back in the 2017 cycle, we actually peaked. The dominance was 71%. The same here in January 2021, we peaked after Bitcoin ran really hard and then it started to fall back. That doesn't mean Bitcoin is coming down in price. It's still going up. It's just the altcoins are almost taking over at that point. So Bitcoin kind of moves rapidly and then kind of slowly grinds up towards the end whilst altcoins completely take off. Now, interestingly this time, and it's definitely worth noting, we're a good bit below that. We're at 61%. Now, it could just be with the next cycle that the dominance is not going to be as large as it was before because there's just so many different altcoins, meme coins, stuff like that. So this might just be the beginning stage. However, we just have to be wary of the fact that last time we thought it was the beginning of alt season back in August 2019, but it really wasn't. We then had the COVID dip and then we began and we had the massive run, not only in Bitcoin, but all of the altcoins as well. So just something to note there. So we might see something similar that will catch a lot of people out. So, it's good to be prepared for that strategy. Now, assuming it isn't, where can it run to? Well, last time the dominance dipped to a lowest level of around 35-36%. The next cycle, the most recent cycle, it was 39%. So I think there's nothing wrong with expecting something between 41 and 43%. So if this keeps going down, that might be where we end up. And then we might be in a range there while altcoins keep going through a couple of seasons where we get one major season and then one little blow off season at the end where other altcoins join the party, like the metaverse coins we saw in the summer and fall of 2021. So I think this potentially could happen again. That's why it's really important to keep an eye on these charts as well, to give you a general idea of what's going on and not get caught out. Now today, we've seen a lot of altcoins pulling back significantly. And for example, this is Cardano, which was down about 20%. Now, when you go up, when you think about technical analysis and you go up literally like this in a straight line, this is not natural and there's obviously going to be pullbacks. Like even in this run we saw way back in October last year, running all the way up to November, December, we had these big pullbacks. So if you look at the fib relationships, you always get a certain percentage pullback. So for example, these were 0.5 and then we ran again. And then we had obviously a much larger, deeper pullback. So very likely, if this was the first start wave, what might be happening here is our third, and then we get a fourth, and then we get a fifth. That's why I do wonder if February, March is another local top, and then we get that one final run into maybe September, maybe first week of October. This is, remember, like nobody in cryptocurrency knows, like with any certainty, what's going to happen and how far we're going to run and how far each altcoin is going to run and which one's going to outperform. It's a guessing game, but the best thing I found is actually using previous cycles. This cycle is not terribly dissimilar. And because we saw a lot of these, what they call dinosaur coins, break out in the last few weeks, it kind of feels like we're just following the same pattern again as last time. Plus meme coins, that's the new massive addition. They're much more popular than they were in the last cycle, and NFTs so far are a lot less popular. Everything else seems to be the same. So when we go up like this, that's the pullbacks we're looking for. So now if we do the same thing again, and we take the fib level here for, let's say, Cardano, as we can see here in this chart, where do we pull back to today? We had a large pullback. We're at around the 40% mark. So, you know, it's not crazy to expect this potentially to drop down even further. That could be it. That could be the dip. Or look at the 0.5 level, or if it's very deep, 0.618. Although I prefer if we held a little bit higher, especially if you're going to kick on more than that. So don't be surprised if we get a bit of consolidation. We might do nothing for a week or two, sideways, accumulate, and then push again. Or we could just V-bottom from here as well. Because you will get sharp pullbacks. The reason they happen when we're in this massive kind of run, as we are now last few weeks, is because a lot of people take leverage positions. And with leverage, what they do is they're trading on margins. So the stop losses are very, very tight, especially automatic ones. So what happens is when the price starts dropping, suddenly many people have to close out of a position automatically because they don't have the margin. But then the price drops more and then more people close up. And then suddenly you get this free fall effect. And that's what happened. So let me show you how that happened live on a smaller chart here. So if you go into a 1 minute chart, this is exactly what's happened. And it's called a liquidity flush. You call it many things, but one of the things you call it is a liquidity flush. And you get that kind of V pattern there. But it looks like we're kind of selling off quite strong on Cardano in particular after. So this might not be the actual low as such. We may go lower again. It's looking at from this chart. Let me have a look at a couple of others. You see everything is down massively today. If you have a look at FET, which had a strong bounce, it also is looking very, very weak after. If you have a look at the other altcoins as well, it's very much the same. It's the same kind of structure. We had that kind of V bottom. And now all that we want to see here from technical perspective is somewhere we get a pullback. That could be a deep pullback because it's the initial move, especially if you're going to move up from here, you'd expect more like a 618, 786 in some of the coins, better ones 0.5. But then we move up and we create that higher low and we take out these highs again. Ideally, that's what you want to see. And this then develop into a 5-wave move. That's ideally what we want. We don't want a corrective move. If we get corrective, we're definitely going to dump again, and probably imminently as well. Now, some of you will be buying these kind of altcoins on spot, so you're not really leverage trading. So technically it doesn't affect you as long as you've got conviction in your positions and you're looking to hold for the longer term. Some of you like me are more traders. Like I'm going to be rotating throughout this market in terms of different asset classes as I push through, just to maximize my ROI where I can, because I have a little bit more time to actually devote to trading. So even in this bounce here, I did a short on FET, which is an AI coin. So my entry price 1.82 and I closed at 1.54, pretty much the low there. And I immediately reversed my position and then went the other way around. And then I took a long position, which worked out really well as well. So if you're interested in using MEXC, it's linked in the description below. I actually have a comprehensive trading program that goes into how to set up these types of trades as well with leverage. If you're interested, it's linked in the description below. Okay, so we talked a lot about TA, but there's some TA that you need to be very careful with. And I warned about this in a previous video before. For example, these types of charts, these altcoin season charts, this one where over 75 means altcoin season. To be honest, when it gets to this top end, you've missed a lot of the altcoin season gains. And funnily enough, it's now showing that it's not altcoin season anymore because it's reverse. So be very, very careful with charts like this. This is meant mainly for retail. This is when retail come in and buy your bags kind of at the tops and stuff like that. So stay away from these charts. You should be using TradingView, watching the dominance, watching to build positions and accumulate when they're going sideways before they start pumping, or very, very early in the move. So like with these moves on any coins that broke up, for example, this ENS, which I've discussed before, this particular one is here, this region where it's usually obvious from volume and price breakouts that we're getting out of an accumulation range here. Now you can hold in these ranges as well, but usually when you start seeing these higher lows and this curving around, that's the TA you're using to predict these breakouts kind of ahead of the fact. Even though they've moved a little bit, they've moved like 10, 20, 30%, fine. But you don't want them to move 200% and then for you to get involved. That's when people start buying tops. And I'm going to show you software I use that really helps with these breakouts. It's called Cryptolium, and I've linked it in the description below. They have a subscription. You can get a discount if you use my coupon code, which I'll link below as well. It's got a lot of cool features, but my favorite ones are if you go on the Graph app and you scroll all the way down, you can look for RSI and volume breakouts, so global. For example, I've clicked here on the global volume analyzer, and here you want to select all coins. And here, if you have a look through, you'll see that basically all major altcoins are on here. And the ones that are really breaking out in terms of volume are listed. And you've got minimum to max volume here. And you can sort it by current volume breakouts or max as well. And you can have a look at these coins. For example, even Ethereum's on here with a massive breakout in terms of volume. Now, obviously, today is special scenario as of, kind of a couple of hours ago, because you had this kind of liquidity flush. So everything's going to be kind of flashing. But this is very, very useful, especially in a couple of days when things settle down. You'll see which coins are getting the most volume pumping into them. And this is why volume is important. For example, this is the Ethereum name service I was talking about. You see here, it was still accumulating. You see that? So the price was still sideways, all here in range. But what was going on at the bottom? Crazy volume coming into this early. Crazy volume. Pull back again, and then volume started to pick up, and then blast off. Then actually at the tops here, there's no volume. Probably a lot of people who bought down here, selling here actually and taking some profits. So now, like I said, very likely we'll get a period where things calm down, and then you might get a little bit of sideways movement again, a little bit of accumulation happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if just before the holidays, you then start to see a breakout. Like I said, I don't know, like nobody knows 100% sure. We could just literally go vertical tomorrow. We don't know. I just feel like that we might be going that way right now. And then quietly people start building positions, and then we get a little bit of early breakout and then crazy breakout. We've seen that before in crypto around the holidays. And like I said, a lot of stuff does seem to be repeating itself over the last few years in cryptocurrency. So there's no reason to think any different. And to be honest, we don't really have that much else to go on. There's no roadmap here, because Bitcoin's now at all-time highs. When it's at all-time highs, we get the same things happening. It looks like it's happening the same way again, but we don't know where Bitcoin's going to go to, because it's never been over 80K before as compared to last cycle. Let me know which altcoins you're looking at. More than happy to review them in a future video. Thanks for listening.